Okay, good morning. This week we are back on the farm and we are on farm infrastructure. But if you haven't hit subscribe and hit that bell, please do so now before we start. Get on to the buildings in a minute, but first we'll work our way around this way. Last time we were here from memory, we'd only got these couple of panels in here, which enabled us to concrete this last stretch through the access between obviously the pig yard and the cattle yard. What we've done then is obviously we've sailed these panels round now to give us that bit of a area for putting all of our implements against here that go on the front of the telehandler, and then that gives us that bit of a splay or 50 pence piece end that gives us the ability to get down that ramp onto the next yard. So again, these are panels that we've just had knocking about or not needed on a job, so we've been able to use them to put this retaining wall all the way around here. All we've got to do then is concrete this section back through, but that's not as important as the work that's going on down the bottom. So let's go down there and have a look. So this is the ramp that is taking us from top cattle yard to bottom cattle yard, and obviously the silage clamps that are going in as well. So we've continued that wall on that 50 pence piece shape. That'll go down the side of this ramp. This will all be concreted in. We've obviously got some doors to go on this building here, which is we call the infill. And then as we work our way down, that ramp will extend out slightly higher than it is presently for a little bit further. So we've still got another panel to put that way, and then that side of the silage clamp building will then become the retaining wall for that, because we've got to put the gully effectively, or the gutter, all the way around the edge of the silage clamp to catch that effluent. So there'll be a wall of the end of the building, and then additionally to that there'll be an additional wall just retaining the side of this ramp, which will give us that gully. Round the corner, this has got one more panel to go in, which I think is about a 20-foot panel there, which will retain that ramp. I don't know whether we'll put one or two panels high here. I haven't really decided yet, because it depends how far that ramp's going to come out. And then what we've done here is to give us this bit of a corner of a yard for stacking bales on, or whatever it is we're doing. We've just trimmed through the side of this bank here, and then we've put the retaining wall up along this section, which then continues all the way round this side of the site, and that forms part of what is going to be our perfect handling facility. Okay, so on to our fancy handling facility. Now, the two livestock buildings that we're going to bring the cattle with the calves or freshly calved cattle down into is there. Now, what we wanted to do is make sure that within the vicinity of where we've got the majority of our cattle held, and like I have said in the past, I do want the final piece of the puzzle here is the building at the far end, which I've not put planning in for yet, but that is the final piece of the puzzle. So the bulk of our cattle will be here or on the top yard, and not that difficult to run down to a fixed handling facility. So what we've done, we needed to put a retaining wall in anyway, because this site sits so low in comparison to the pig site. So we've used these panels again all the way around the edge. We've retained that ground on the higher level, and at the same time I thought, well, where it fits in and is tucked in here, it fits quite nicely to put our handling facility, and it works with everything else on the farm. So handling wise, what we've done is we've actually put a lid on this bit, because this is where the crush is going to sit. So we'll have a bit of a bend on the race where they run in, and then it'll come through the crush. We've got a high level of yard there where we can just concrete that through and put a set of steps in, so when the vet comes, immediately the vet can pull up and be right by where we're always going to be working. And at the same time, we've got this big handling facility down here, and we will have the ability to sort cattle a lot easier with a sorting gate, rather than just trying to do it in a big open pen and a gate. So that's the plan. Now, handling facility, in fact, go back to James and have a look. So this here is the back line of the building that obviously the cattle are going to come into with the calves at foot. And then we've got this space between the two. Now what we've done, we've had this first row of posts put in here. This row of posts is gated so that the gates can swing back to the building and create pens along the way. So theoretically, cattle will be coming in from this end over here, and this will be where the cattle are drafted into. So they will come in, they will go right through here, and this is the first section then of the race that they're going to run through. When they're in this section here, they will go all the way down. They'll then come back down this side of the fence. As we go along, each one of these posts has got a gate that we can swing round, and it'll go 180 degrees as well. So if we want to, we can swing it round to force the cattle up, and at the same time, my idea is constantly that we have as little time as possible, if any at all, in the pen with the cattle. So we should always have a gate to be able to force the cattle up. And then when they get to this end, this is where we've got our, basically a flat open section here, and this is where we're going to put that half moon Bateman cattle handling forcing pen. So this is that half moon thing, we're going to erect that here. Got a little section that I don't know quite until we put that up how that fits in and where the personnel gate for us goes, but ultimately this is where we put a number of cattle in. We force them round with the forcing pen gate, and then they go all the way round to up the side of this wall, which is flush both sides, flush with panels this side and then flush with gates this side, and this creates our start of our race. So there should be single file all the way along to the very end, and then at the very end that's where they'll go round the sort of whatever it is 45-degree bend that we're going to put in. I don't know whether I'm going to buy that or make that yet, but they'll go around that 45-degree bend through the crush. The crush itself we're going to sit on scales permanently, so we've always got a fixed crush positioning so that we can weigh everything at the same time as we're doing everything else. And then that leaves this little run here, which basically that is for us to be able to walk up and down when we're moving the cattle. So for argument's sake, this section here, this is where the race will come round on that 45-degree bend and go through the crush, which is on a 45-degree sort of angle through that sort of lidded area. And then this section here is open to us because this is where we're working. This is open, so we can walk now all the way down here, which we've got gates both sides, cattle in the big pen this side, single traffic cattle on this side, but ultimately we can go down, we can bar that off at any point where we want to separate or slow things down or hold them up, and at the same time we're completely away from the cattle. So ultimately we can go down, we can send the next three up and send them through, but when they're in single file, I think naturally they'll just follow each other through. So it should be so much easier from a handling perspective, and the fact that we haven't got to set it up and take it down every single time that we do anything. It's just unfortunate that for TB testing this time, which is in 2 weeks' time, we're not going to have this quite ready. So I was hoping that we'd had this done and it would be our maiden voyage on our first TB test, but it's not going to happen because ultimately, concreting wise, it is more important that we get them clamps done, because from a clamp perspective we've got mountains of work left to do over there. We're probably 2 weeks off maize as well, and at the moment I still haven't got any concrete on the floor. Next week that should change, providing the weather holds out. We've had a little bit of rain now, which is fantastic, and as much from a farming perspective I want more, from a concreting perspective, me and Finchy, we don't want any at all. So like I say, down on this side we've had mountains going on. On the building front we've got loads left to do. In all fairness, we've been that busy on everybody else's work that basically we haven't even got a lot of footage of what's gone up to date, because I've been doing it mainly in the evenings and at weekends because we've got that much on in the week that we haven't been able to drop onto it. But Finchy's been a star. He has actually, obviously I've drawn all this on my own without James's help. Finchy's then come along, he's gone and put all the posts up for me, he's put some of the footings in as well, which has helped out. And he's getting this somewhere near ready. We've slung some drains in ready, so them gully pots, we've got 3 gully pots there. I'll come back to the concreting in a different video, and regarding the clamps and the infill building, we'll bring you that next week because there's loads to talk about over there. But if you like what you've seen, please hit subscribe, ring the bell, and we'll leave you with a massive farm infrastructure montage.